Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Stack Your Points. I'm your host, Matt Lawson from the Matt Lawson YouTube channel, joined as always by RJ from Do You Take Cards? RJ, how are you today?
I am doing fantastic tonight, Matt. How are you?
Doing pretty good, doing pretty good. We've got card news to talk about, some celebrations to talk about, and so I'm pretty excited about this episode. Next up, we've got Tariq. Tariq, how can folks find you on the internet now?
Well, usually I would be putting in the plug for the Great Venture Capital Discord. However, I am pleased to say that we have our own Discord server that I can shamelessly plug instead, and so I get my own YouTube channel. So
So let it be known.
you can find me at the Stack Your Points Discord, which we will have linked below.
We're still all members of the Venture Capital Discord. It's just going to be a different sort of happy fun time for us. And also we are joined by Lani from the Call Me Lani channel. How are you today, Lani?
I'm doing all right. I am doing okay.
Awesome. All right. So as I said, we've got some news to talk about. We're going to jump in with our first bit of news. We're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. And as I said, it was a celebration episode. We have hit our first 100 subscribers on the YouTube channel. I don't know if we need to go around the horn with that, but 100 subscribers on YouTube, that is fantastic. And it is the beginning of the algorithm taking hold of our lovely little show. Don't know how I got tripped up there, but 100 subscribers, it's awesome. Thank you so much for everyone who has subscribed. Thank you for everyone who's listening who has not subscribed. If you're not subscribed and you're listening, please hit the subscribe button on YouTube if you find us on YouTube. Elsewhere, please keep giving us those 5-star ratings on the podcatcher of your choice. So, that little bit of housekeeping out of the way, we've got two pieces of news to talk about. The first is Delta and Microsoft and Cloudstrike are in a war of words. Delta has threatened to sue Cloudstrike over the recent issues that occurred when Cloudstrike issued a patch to their software that went horribly wrong and knocked out most of the world's internet infrastructure for a couple hours on a Friday. Great way to start your weekend. Delta had even more issues from that, and there is a public brouhaha brewing over it. Delta accused Microsoft and Cloudstrike of not performing their jobs well enough, and Microsoft and Cloudstrike have come back and said, hey, we offered assistance to you directly during the worst of this calamity, and you guys turned us away. So litigation's been threatened. I'm going to assume that this will end with some sort of deal being struck outside of court, but who knows? We've got such lines as Delta's public comments are incomplete, false, misleading, and damaging to Microsoft and its reputation. In a letter from Microsoft, the truth is very different from the false picture you and Delta have sought to paint. Harsh. And do not cross Brad Smith, the chief lawyer at Microsoft. He is not someone who's going to take these things lightly. RJ, do you have any thoughts on this as the resident Delta person?
Yeah, I want to put Delta in the corner. Like, come on, guys. A, like, have your infrastructure better, and B, perhaps take some help when your systems are down and you're stranding, thousands of people across the United States for multiple hours and days. I also want to point out your travel insurance probably doesn't cover this or this type of thing. So all of the talk that we have about different situations or, oh, this card has great travel insurance, things like this typically aren't covered. So having backup plans for travel is not a bad idea of, okay, I'm going here. If something happens, having some plans, having some thoughts is not a bad idea. And this situation sort of shows how precarious our travel plans can be when everything is run on Commodore 64s.
Lonnie, your thoughts?
I don't think Microsoft can hold has a right to say that, like, software makes them look bad after Windows 98 and Vista, because a lot of us has never recuperated back from that. But I just think this is a classic case of I don't want to hold the hot potato. So there's got to be someone to blame. And everyone is like, as RJ said, I mean, there's good, there's bad, there's right, there's wrong in all sorts of places. Someone has to take accountability, but nobody wants to be like, oh yeah, this is our fault. And the reason why is because the person that loses that battle is the company that's going to get sued. We already know it. So nobody wants that hot potato. And so yeah, they're just going to battle it out in whatever way they can until they get there. But I mean, we've seen this with businesses and all sorts of, situations before. Y2K was another one. What Boeing has recently been going through, nobody wants a hot potato. Let's just say it like that. And I just think this is just another classic case of it.
System 9's biggest area of growth was the introduction of Windows 98, and OS X's biggest opportunity for growth was Windows Vista. So, yeah, that Microsoft has a way of shooting itself in the foot sometimes. Tariq, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's kind of just piggybacking on like what RJ and Lani said. It's definitely the matter of no one wants to take the blame because not only the lawsuits, but also just the poor brand image that's going to come with this. Whoever takes the fault. And in regards to Delta not taking help on it, maybe they were trying to navigate it and they were trying to figure it out. And they were just annoyed because Clippy came up to the side and said, I see you're trying to navigate a Cloudstrike outage. Let me help with that. And they just didn't want to deal with Clippy. And, we're here now.
Let me just say, if it was the dog that came up from the XP days, they probably would have been fine.
Tariq, are you old enough for Clippy?
I don't know. I was barely, my first Windows software that I used was XP. So I started with a half decent Windows software.
I wasn't going to mention anything about the age portion there, but yeah, Clippy, the dog, all these things. It all comes from Microsoft Bob, which was a horrible, horrible, horrible idea. But anyway, we do have one other piece of news. That is the Savor from Capital One is dead. Long live the Savor. Capital One has recently retired applications for the Savor card. This is the $95 annual fee card, which was 4 times on dining, 4 times on entertainment and streaming, 4 times on entertainment and select streaming, that is, sorry, and 3 times on groceries. That sounds like a weirdly familiar card, and yet Capital One has gotten rid of the $95 annual fee card. They have the $0 annual fee Savor 1 card, and they have 9 trademark applications out for a number of new cards, some of which may actually become cards. Did anyone have anything on the Savor that they wanted to cover?
I really wish they had made it a competitor to the gold card, as much as I wouldn't want it personally, because I think the more pressure there is on companies to innovate, the better. And this going away really does hurt the ecosystem that may push Amex or, something like that. It's like if, the Chase Sapphire Reserve goes away, that's going to take some pressure off the Platinum just by its nature. So it's always hard when a card goes away, but we'll see what Capital One puts out. Maybe they put out a more direct competitor to the gold card in the future. We'll see.
Folks have been claiming for a Savor X. Lani, I know Capital One isn't really your cup of tea, but any thoughts here?
It is not my cup of tea. So the first thing I'll say is that no, I can't miss something that I never had. So I'm not going to go down that road to answer this question. But as RJ had said, it would have been nice to see something try to compete directly with the gold card. Like there's not really anything that directly competes with the gold card. But Like, if they made, of course, I got to go back to my business and my professional background here. If they made a decision that this is no longer the card, there had to be a reason behind it. Maybe people weren't using it. Maybe it wasn't raising the P&L. Or people were taking advantage of it, and then that was hurting the business because we all take advantage of our cards in ways that can hurt these credit card businesses. Probably only a small fraction, the 18th digit of pi of like hurting them, but still hurts them. So sorry to see the Savor card go for y'all that were interested in it. I don't even know, is it that orange one? I think it is. Yeah. I've heard a lot about it. I know a very close friend, Chad of Chad's Money Minutes, have talked about it plentifully. But yeah, it happens. It's a business decision. It's a mark on an Excel sheet to someone. So it is what it is.
$95 card gone, but the $0 annual fee Savor 1 still available. 3x on everything, unlimited 3x on everything. So there's also talk of on the internet of like a Savor X card that would come back and replace it, and maybe be a stronger complement to the Capital One Venture X. But that is the, I guess, instant cope. Tariq, any thoughts on Savor going away?
I mean, so I have the Savor One card, and I would make the argument that it's the no annual fee alternative to the gold. You just have to give up 1% or 1x if you have a venture card. So I think in that sense, the Savor One is a competitor with the no annual fee. It's just a caveat that you're going to get a little less earning. But aside from, I think, what is it, the hotel and the flights, like directly flights, you're going to get you got the dining, you got the grocery, but you also have entertainment and streaming. I mean, when I was using the card, I called it my food and fun card. I use it for groceries, eating out, and when I would go take my girlfriend out for dates. So like I use that card a lot, especially with it having the Uber One benefit, which I'm going to miss in, what is it, 4 months now at the time of this recording. So, and knowing Capital One, they're probably not going to bring it back. But I say all that to say there was a lot of value in the Savor One, not even mentioning the 5x that you get booking a hotel through the Capital One portal, that I don't think it made much sense to have both the Savor and the Savor One, because I don't know that many people who opted for the $95 annual fee Savor in the name of 1% on dining, streaming, and entertainment. I just didn't think it made much sense. And it was, for lack of a better term, dead weight for Capital One when people were just willingly getting the Savor One. So, like you said, Lani, it was a business decision, and it was the best decision because, truthfully, it won't be missed. You're paying $95 for like 1%, an extra 1%, and I think a metal card. But objectively, the Savor One is a better card than the Savor anyway. So we'll see what they say if there is this rumored Savor X. But I mean, it helps with that Capital One duo having that no annual fee Savor One. So that's just my 2 cents.
Please, Capital One, have some delineation between your cards. Have cards with different categories. I promise you can have more than like 3 good cards. I promise you can do it all at the same time. I know it's scary, but you can do it.
No, RJ, you're going to get your same 15 cards with good credit, excellent credit, and bucketed credit, and you're just going to like it. Whether you want it or not, it's going to happen.
I'd even go as far to say, to piggyback on RJ, maybe you don't need to create a new product. Like, there's enough cards out there. Maybe we should start shrinking portfolios so that we can get better bonus categories and better earning categories and better redemption categories off a smaller portfolio than to have 15 cards just trying to get, a free vacation. My 2 cents, keep the change.
That is both fair and entirely ruinous to my Wells Fargo strategy at the moment. But Capital One cannibalizing a card with another card in the same category, that just sounds about right for Capital One. So we'll move on from news. We've got topics to start off with, and we'll bounce around again and start with Lani this week. Lani, your topic of the week.
Yeah. So this week, United dropped some amazingly great travel deals. I think in the last once they dropped it for like the next 2 days, 48 hours. So in the last 72 hours, I probably honestly booked maybe like 4 or 5 trips. Not even lying, not exaggerating, not making this up. So the thing is, if you are a United card holder, if you go book directly through United, and it can be an award seat or it can be paid with cash or a combination of both because they now do, miles plus cash, you'll start seeing the biggest one I saw was 55% off. So I just booked a trip to Hawaii for less than 14,000 miles a person. And we're going with 4. So even the mom-in-law is coming. So it's a good deal. Anyway, that made me realize what exactly is a good deal, because I was so excited about this. Of course, I'm a United card holder. I know Tariq is. If you're in the Discord, I actually jumped in one night just to scream it from the mountaintops. Go check this out now, or go sign up to get your United card while this is still hot off the press. But what do you recognize as a good deal? And the reason why I say that is, outside of other people that I had the conversation with, making sure that people are aware, doing my due diligence as a YouTube creator and a United enthusiast and a travel enthusiast. And like I said, my goal is to help people get on flights, take those trips. I also had conversations with friends that not necessarily the math didn't math out for them, i.e., like they might not be based in the New York area or Chicago ORD or LAX and Los Angeles, where you could get the best deals, especially for the international flights or for like long haul flights. Once again, something like a Hawaii, where they're like, well, I have to take a positioning flight that doesn't have a deal on it, and maybe even on another airline, maybe Alaska or Frontier or a Southwest or something like that, just so they can get to a spot to get the good deal. But then that would eat up all the value, or all the financial value, or all the redemption value. So how do you find a good deal? Is it a financial value there, or is it more like a benefit? Because in the same conversations, what I've learned over these last couple of days, speaking with other people that have left me comments and friends that I've had conversations with in regards to it, they said, to me, it's not even about the redemption side of it. It's about the benefits that I get from it. Like, I'd rather just go to an all-inclusive resort like Cabo or Cancun or something like that, where yes, I might save a little bit flying there, but then I know as long as I don't leave that resort, everything else is paid for. It's one-stop shop. I'm good. To them, that's a good deal. So I want to go around the horn and to say and ask each of you, what do you guys consider a good deal? Is it more financial? Is it more benefits? For me, it's travel day. You heard me say, like, I'll go over and beyond to make sure I have a seamless travel day. So I'm going to start off with Matt. How do you define a good deal?
So I think for me, it's always a mix of obviously that financial aspect of things, but making whatever can make my life relatively simple while traveling. So I wouldn't mind the all inclusive, but I know that the all inclusive is significantly more expensive than everything else. So if I'm willing to make trades here and there to get to the all inclusive because the all inclusive is going to cover everything, cool. Maybe I have to cheap out on my flight a little bit. Maybe I have to take, maybe I can't spring for jumping up to that extra, not necessarily the extra leg room, but like maybe if I was going to go from basic economy with JetBlue, I'm not going to pay for Mint on that flight, or I'm not going to pay for even more space on that flight. just so that, I can make the math work a little bit better on that all-inclusive. I don't typically go to all-inclusive, so that's probably going to be one that if I choose to do it, I'm going to ball out on that one in particular. Try to find the best deal, whether it's with the points to stay at the all-inclusive or it's getting there in style. But typically it's, can I cover everything I need to cover for this trip in a way that I'm going to be comfortable at the very least, and I'm not going to have major problems with where I'm staying. So, earlier this year, we took a trip, family trip out to Detroit for my partner to see longtime friends of hers. I'm not familiar with the Oakland County area of Michigan, but I knew we would fly into Detroit Wayne. We would avoid Detroit City pretty much all entirely, but we were going to stay in the Auburn Hills area. It's not an area I know very well, but knowing her hold on things, like she said, this is a good place to stay. So we were good, we were comfortable, we took a nice flight, we moved up to the even more space seats. So for me, that ended up being a pretty good deal because I didn't have to pay for the hotel. I only had to pay to upgrade our seats, and I could have upgraded our seats even cheaper. I booked everything. I booked the flight on points. The only things I really paid for were the rental and food while we were there. Otherwise, it all worked out. So it wasn't an amazing redemption, but it still worked out as a pretty good deal for me because I got to stay at hotels I like to stay at. I got a nice, comfortable car, and I got to fly relatively seamlessly with no problem.
So we're going to see Matt on a cruise. That's going to be your all-inclusive. I think you would enjoy a cruise.
Could be a cruise. I've looked at a few here and there, but I need all the points to make that worthwhile. And I'd have to start looking at like get this inner room because this room is going to be more comfortable anyway. You don't necessarily have to look out at the sea all the time, but like just enjoy the rest of it.
Can we get Matt a captain's hat? Because I feel like a captain's hat with the beard would be very appropriate.
So
I'm gonna grow it back down.
As many of you guys know, yes, I will be taking a cruise in a couple of months. October. So yeah, almost 2 months from now. So if they give me a captain's hat, Matt, I'm shipping it to you.
All right.
But you made it one of the things that you said actually resonates with me the most as well, because first and foremost, as I had mentioned, like, yeah, it's really great for me to say like, oh, I just got $14K a seat for a toddler and the mother-in-law to go to Hawaii. But I'm already on the West Coast. If you're on the East Coast, like RJ and Matt are, and you don't see that same deal. So that was one of the things I was getting at. But you had mentioned upgrading seats. And like I said, I love my travel day. So like that was a great point of like using status where I don't mind booking economy, because even if I'm buying a seat for my toddler, we're already on the upgrade list. I can go to my account and I'm already on the wait list already. So that saves points, that saves miles, that saves, that can be a good deal in a different way. And that's the reason why, and that's part of the reason why I'm asking this question, all the different variations of what good deal could actually stand for. And then last but not least, Matt, yes, don't forget United. You can now use United Miles to book with Royal Caribbean. So moving on, shameless plug. And I promise I am not sponsored or work for United.
Sure about that?
Yeah, I actually am sure about that. I know where my W-2 comes from, but it's not from them. Anyway, RJ, jumping to you next.
I have 3 non-negotiables when I travel. I'm going to fly first class because I am fine with paying for comfort. Like I have no problem paying for comfort. With Delta, I actually get a pretty good deal. My Delta first class and United like business or whatever their business class is usually the same from the airport I fly out of. So for me, paying for first class, not an issue. I know I'm going to have a layover because of where I'm flying out from. So unless I'm going to like Atlanta or Detroit, there will be a layover. So I book with enough time to hit a lounge, because if I'm traveling with family, I'm going to need a drink. So I know that. So I book knowing that I want at least a 2-hour layover, because I want to make sure, especially if I'm with my grandmother, taking her down to family or whatever, I want to make sure we get off the plane. I want to make sure we have time to get where we're going. So I always book in nice layovers, and then I want a nice hotel. It doesn't have to be a 4 or 5-star hotel, but it's got to be clean. It's got to be, in an easily accessible part of town, whatever. If I can do all of that on points and miles, it's a good redemption to me. Like, no, am I going to pay $120,000 for like a Spring Hill? Probably not, right? Like I'm not insane. But if I can book, if it's 60,000 a night and it's a quarter mile from where I want to be, to me, that is fine, because I will pay for convenience. Getting all of my non-negotiables covered and being comfortable in the trip. I'm like you, Lani, like travel days, I have like a military operation. Like, this is when the plane goes. If there is a layover or a delay, we are covered, so we don't have to rush. This is like, I've already mapped out the airport of where we're going. I know where the Delta Sky Lounge we will be staying in is. Like, I have looked at the last week and a half of like when it's busy, so I know if there's going to be a wait. Like, I have done all that prep work before. So when I travel, my day is not stressful, because I have already taken care of the things that I can pay for to upgrade and all of the prep work. So on travel days, the worst thing is like my foot is falling asleep because of the angle of which I'm sitting in the seat. Like, that's the worst thing that happens on my travel days. So as far as redemptions go, as long as I can cover those non-negotiables, and I'm not getting my face ripped off for, the 120,000 points at like a Spring Hill, I'm a happy camper. I'm really easy when it comes to that. I'm not tracking cents per point. I'm not doing all of that. My time is more valuable than that to me, and that is a me thing. If that's something you like, I want you guys to do it. But for me, I don't have the time to make those spreadsheets, to make those cents per point worth what I would charge myself to make those spreadsheets.
So I'm laughing because, yes, you said so much that resonates with me, especially like knowing exactly where the lounge is that you're going to be at. Um, which is funny because for anyone that hasn't flown to H&L, the Honolulu airport, which I personally think is one of the worst airports on the face of the earth. Um, if you've ever gone there, well, there's multiple terminals, but whatever. It's indoor, outdoor airport. Hawaii's effing hot, yo. So when you're standing in the pre-check line with 60 people in front of you, especially when you have an infant or a toddler, and it's 100 degrees and humid, or raining, and you're getting rained on while standing in that, it is by far the worst. But United Club is in Terminal 2 on the second floor. I know exactly where it's at because that airport is just so bad. But you also, man, to be flying solo or a duo again and just booking first class, RJ, you're bringing back memories because those days are slightly over for me for the next couple of years. So thanks for that. For now.
It's nice to be able to be like, yeah, look, it's a privilege to be able to say, I am not concerned about the price of my ticket for first class because this is the trip I want to do. I get that that's a privilege. But am I going to enjoy that privilege to the fullest benefit in my life? You are damn sure I am.
100%. Yep. I'm not mad at buying an economy and then getting upgraded to first class where my little son whose feet can't even hang off of the chairs. Y'all just stare at him while you walk to the back, okay? Just I pay to play. I paid. We're playing. In the story. Tariq, pass the mic.
So maybe because I'm in a different stage in my life, I'm like in the early stages. Like I said, graduated, got my undergrad like 2 years ago. So like I don't have the disposable incomes of my fellow co-hosts. So with that being said, for me, when it comes to like deals, I am a fan of Well, one, if I'm planning on doing something to begin with, and I see like I can get a discount on there, boom, I'm already good. That's not even like with travel. Like I'm planning on football season starting up, big UTSA football fan, love my college sports. So I'm already planning out like what games are going on. And I'm like, if I can find like a smoking deal on like a game that I already planned on going to in like a nicer section, I'm jumping on that. Now, when it comes to travel, points, I mean, I do Hyatt for a reason because they have really nice hotels and they're not points expensive. So that's me on that. Also, my only experience with all inclusives is also a one cruise that I took 7 years ago, and it was great. I loved it, and I plan on doing another one. I've actually been saving up because I'm going to make this. This is a cash booking, and I'm going on the United Cruises portal to book it that way because I've seen just smoking amount of deals for that for United miles. Cruises.united.com. I have already planned it out. I've been looking at it for days. I'm not even planning on doing a cruise until like sometime next year because I'm saving up for it. I'm doing the savings challenge so I can have enough to cover mine and girlfriend's booking. So, and I think it's seen like upwards of like 60,000 miles plus like X dollars per mile in credits. So like that's my deal, and I am excited for that. So like when it comes to travel experience, when it comes to deals, I'm not there yet. I mean, I just took a Southwest flight round trip from home airport San Antonio to Midway and back, and they were just nonstop, so I didn't have like much issue. So like I'm okay with like the economy, even though I was really like cranky about getting like the low B boardings or the high B boardings, I guess I should say, despite me only doing the one to get away fare because I was trying to be points cheap. So you get what you pay for.
Pay to play. Pay to play. All right. Now, you want some tips, tricks, and hacks on cruise ships? Because my mom loves cruise ships. I've cruised so many times in my life. But let me know. Drop it in. Reach out. Drop it in the comments. Drop it in the Discord. Come to my channel. Make sure you hit subscribe. Drop it in my comments over there. I'm happy to answer those questions for you. I'm not going to say I'm a cruise expert, but I've been on, dude, I've been on a lot of cruises.
We'll just be waiting for the cruise video that you are going to drop.
My parents are still cruising. Like, that's how much my mom loves cruising. All right. That's me. Matt, back to you and the next topic.
Absolutely. We're going to turn over to RJ. RJ, your topic of the week.
So I want to start this off by saying none of us are sponsored by any of the companies we're about to mention, if we're going to mention any companies at all. I want to know what apps you guys use. Is it, an app to add all of the deals to your profiles? Is it something that you use to take a look at, different options? I'll go first because it's my topic. I really like an app called Wallet Flow. FLO is the end of that. And what it does is it lets you put all of your cards in. And then it'll actually say, okay, this is your best card for, groceries, or this is your best card for dining. And it'll put them all in order based on the points they get and sort of a valuation of their points. You can change how you value their points. So say you value, Hilton points at, 0.5 versus Marriott at 0.67 or whatever. You can do all of that so your own math can be added. But it's a really nice one. What I like it for is when I'm thinking of getting a card, seeing where it would fit in certain lineups of, comparing it against everything else to see if there might be something I'm not thinking of using it for that it would be very helpful, or maybe it's, the fifth best card for the thing that I was thinking about using it for. I also use card pointers because it'll add all of my Amazon or all of my Amex deals. Because I pay for it, so I'm able to have that added for me with a couple of clicks, which is very nice. So I don't have to sort through the 40 billion Amex deals that come up, and it'll just track things, which is very nice. Those are the main ones I use. Tariq, I know you use at least one, so I will go to you next.
Ding.
So I'm gonna start with the one that you aren't expecting me to say. And I usually only do this because I wanted an easy way to track my Chase 524 status. That app being Travel Freely. Um, I actually have it up, and I don't even feel like doing like the camera blurring and everything. But I actually just opened a card this morning, so I was able to add that. And that card being, it was actually the IHG Premier Business Card. So I already added that on. It shows me like the annual fee, when it'll hit, and it also shows me like the bonus timeline. But with the other app that I'm going to say in just a moment, it tracks that as well. So I just like it for the checklist and the 524 status. Now, the app that I probably use the most, and I wish we're not sponsored by this app. I wish we were, because that'd be nice. That being Max Rewards. I have had a love-hate relationship with the app, and recently it has been on the love side because they finally pulled their heads out of their rear ends with dealing with Chase. I actually am a Max Rewards. I did pay for Max Rewards Gold for the annual membership, and I have actually utilized it mostly for the offers, being the Amex offers and the Chase offers, because I didn't even realize how many Amex offers I had until I did the auto sync with the Max Rewards Gold. So, and with that, it does the bonus trackers. It shows me like when bills are due. It's not great for those who are not a fan of doing like connecting like your account information on there. So it's not for you. Completely understand. Me, maybe I'm just cavalier and I just don't, either I'm naive or cavalier, or maybe even both. I don't know. I'm young. So, but I like the fact that it shows like the best card that I can use for circumstances, and even to the merchant. Like it'll find the merchant and give me the best card that for that specific merchant. And it's kind of it's aware of like the point valuation for like Chase points. If you have a Sapphire preferred, it's going to base it on like 1.25 cents per point, because the baseline for the travel portal. And also you can adjust your point valuations based on there. And it has a good categorizing like your cash back and then like your different points ecosystem. So I'm a fan of it. And even though it takes me a while to sync my accounts, because I have a decent amount of cards on there now, I think it's worth it. And it takes me like maybe like a minute or two. So it's worth it on there. And it, between those two, that's like a really my strategy, I guess, to like really organize my cards and like see what if I'm doing good in the game in my eyes.
Matt, what about you?
So for credit card tracking, automatically adding offers to my cards. Yes, I've paid for Max Rewards Gold, Max Reward Gold. It's gotten better-ish. It had a long time where it didn't connect to Chase properly, so that was a problem. For other ways of things for credit card related spend or tracking, that wouldn't be any of the other like side apps that I use, like the Mileage Plus X app or Pepper or anything like that. Those are a separate animal, I guess. The main one is Max Rewards. I've added Kudos to my browser. Kudos, when you're internet shopping, will tell you like what the best card would be for that particular website. And what your return will be and what your expected return would be. So if you're doing like online travel shopping, it would show my Sapphire Reserve, because it's going to show the 4.5% cash back I could get, or the 4.5% return I could get by using the 1.5% boost in the travel portal. If I go that route, yes, I'm going to lock in that much more savings. typically I'll transfer my points out, so I haven't had to do that level of math yet. I have downloaded a couple of spreadsheets to try and just put everything in and try and visualize and look at what my next card is going to be. At the moment, I'm on a bit of a freeze after securing the chasing cash. I don't have anything else immediate coming up in terms of a card that I'm looking to open. But I've done kudos. I'll look at card pointers, and when I want to just turn on all my offers, I'll throw on max rewards, and then forget that I turned on offers and get told, "Hey, your offer is being redeemed now," for something I didn't realize that I bought that had an offer on it. So that's always cool. Bonus tracking, honestly, at this point, I just go straight to the source. The Chase mobile app gives you your bonus tracker inside the app. Just go straight to the source. Wells Fargo buried their bonus tracker further into their app than they needed to. Those people need to learn how to design a mobile application properly. Everything else is sort of okay. So if I'm tracking my bonus, I just go straight to the source. Wells does a job at it. Chase does a really good job at it. American Express does a really good job at it. I am sure Bank of America would do a pretty good job at it. I am sure US Bank does an okay job at it, but I don't have those cards in those ecosystems, so I can't say for certain. Heck, even the Barclays application did a really good job of it with the JetBlue business card that I have. So if you're tracking your bonus, just go straight to the source. They're going to have it covered. Max Rewards can do it. Kudos is really good for, navigating where you're spending. I broke my browser forever ago with things when I used to work on campaigns. So the security on that computer that I primarily used was a bit more tightened than some other computers I have. So not everything works properly to get all the savings I need to get. So kudos and everything will probably move to another computer going forward.
I don't use any apps. I'm not going to be the oddball out. And there's not any other real reason why than I don't feel the need to. So like my purchase strategies, especially my point stacking strategies, the various ones that I use at like my top 5, I've been doing this for so long that it comes second nature to me. It's just like, riding a bike or like me solving this Rubik's Cube. I don't need an app. I don't need to go to a website or YouTube to figure out how to do it. I just know how to do it because I've been doing it for so long. So I don't need any type of additional help or anything like that. But I will say, I do use Chrome extensions. So my favorites are, of course, my United Shopping Portal Chrome extension, where I just go to a website, it just pops up on the screen like, oh, you can get 8 miles per dollar when I make that purchase. And that actually triggers me to go to the Chase shopping portal as well. Because if I see it inflated on United, it's probably inflated on Chase. And then I just see which one is better. And then I'll do it that way. Now, Honey is the exact same thing. Because you open up an item on a retailer's website and it says, hey, you can get $25 when you purchase this within the next 13 hours. And that stacks with Chase and United. Just make sure you activate your Honey offer first before you activate your United or your Chase affiliate or shopping link, and then you'll be able to get both. So hot tip for you right there. Now, the thing is, like I had said, I don't really like using them because I am a very hands-on and analytical person. So I pay attention to all my offers. So not every time I'm in my Chase or my Amex app, am I looking at my offers or whatnot. But the first thing is I don't need every single offer in there. I just don't. I'm not going to use every single offer in there. So the first thing is don't activate all of them for me. Now, if you do, you activate. I was in my Amex and my Chase apps earlier today because I was paying bills or whatnot, paying off cards. But like I saw Levi's, a deal at Levi's, like spend X dollars, get X dollar as a credit or statement credit back. Whatever. I don't shop there. Not a big deal. So you activate it and I never use it. No harm, no foul. Don't lose anything. but especially around Amex, every so often, and I get this on my gold and my platinum card. I'm going to come back to this in a second, but I get them on my gold and my platinum card, and sometimes they are like small spend requirement offers where it might say spend X amount of dollars and X amount of spend X amount of dollars, get X amount of points. But when you read the terms and conditions of it, it might say that it starts the second you activate it. You got 90 days or you got 60 days for the second you activate it. If one of these apps automatically activated that for me and I didn't see it for 7 days, I just lost 7 days. I don't want that. I want to turn it on when I know I'm going to get it. The same way I'll use a spend bonus or sign up bonus with a brand new credit card where I'm like, I'm going to wait till I know I'm going to have a purchase or a series of purchases that I know I can hit within that time frame to make sure that I get that. If it was automatically activated and I didn't know about it, or let's say it like this, maybe it was a grocery offer that was automatically activated on my platinum card. I'm a little upset now because my platinum card doesn't give me anything on grocery and my gold does. So I've seen those, not, I'm going to call them horror stories, but I've seen people that have said, hey, this happened to me because of, this particular app or this particular system or something like that. And so that's why I don't do it. I just do it manually. If I'm going to go shopping, are we all just out there just swiping cards, just left and right, all willy-nilly? Probably not. You know where you normally go. You know how you normally shop. You know when you're going to shop. So it's like, great, there's Levi. I'm walking into Levi. Maybe I'm in a store. Maybe I'm out of town at a premium outlet mall or something. Cool, let me go check my offers. I remember seeing one a week ago. Cool, let me go ahead and activate it. Now I know right then and there, I need to know I have exactly which card to use without having to go anywhere else. And then I will also say, actually, I'm going to touch on something that Matt had said. The bonus tracker that Chase uses, most of my cards, the majority of my cards are Chase. Chase is great. There's no reason to go anywhere else. It goes down to the penny, and Amex is just the same. It might not be as automatic as Chase is, but you can just go in the chat and be like, I got this sign-up bonus. How much have I spent? How much more do I got left? And literally within a couple of minutes, a live person is texting you back in the chat, like, here's what you got to do. So I don't even need it there if I really need to. But most cases, I just sign up for new cards when I have very large spend. So I try to knock it out in like 1 or 2, 3 swipes anyway. And then also no spreadsheets. If anything, RJ, I will use my Google Calendar to say, I sign up on this card on X day. My CSR credit comes in December. My yearly anniversary or whatnot hits in December. Or I'll hit 1 year in a day where I'm free to cancel a card, even though I don't cancel cards. But if it comes to that, I will put that on with just my Google Calendar. But more importantly, I do that with like sign up bonuses myself, where I'm like, I got 3 months. So I'll just go to my Google Calendar and say I have to hit my spend requirement by now. I'll just add the date 3 months from now. Usually I take a week off so I give myself a little buffer, but that's about it. And it works for me. If these apps and these different types of resources work for you, by all means, go for it. Do you? But not I, said the cat.
Dear viewer, I know that there exists somewhere a chart where you could put the 4 of us in 4 different quadrants of all of this on said chart. And I task you, listener, with coming up with the X and Y axis of what that chart would look like.
We're all going to be somewhere on the X, and then Lani's just going to be way up here.
Oh, Lani is
I'm up and to the right.
definitely, Lani is the outlier.
That's fine. All right. Let's jump into my topic, and we'll end topics with Tariq, but we'll jump into mine. My topic for this week, I've labeled it as credit minimizers have ruined some cards. Stop thinking you're getting one over on the issuer. So there are 2 cards specifically that come to mind with this. One that has had a recent refresh with added credits. It's the American Express Gold card. The other one is the Build card. These are the 2 that I've thought of the most, but we've also seen new DoorDash credits with the Chase Sapphire Reserve. And there's a certain mindset that I've noticed online, whether it's through the churning subreddit, whether it's the credit card subreddit. There are folks who want to minimize the credit to spend as little as possible to trigger it. And I feel like it's sort of thrown a wrench at these cards and how issuers will approach it, because the issuers will say, okay, we have these credits and we know that people are using these credits, and they don't care how you use the credit, obviously. So if you're the person who's going to do like the Grubhub match, the Grubhub plus guarantee that gets you the lowest possible price, so that when you go to pick up with Grubhub, you only end up spending $7.48 for a burrito that would typically be $9.58, that you're not willing to pay the $9.58 for, and you're sure as heck not going to order delivery for it. This is a real thing that I've seen, not those exact numbers or that specific burrito, but that mindset. You're using the credit. If you're using the credit, the credit card issuer says they're using the credits, we'll continue to give them more credits. That's not specifically American Express. That's everybody who does credits. Same with the Sapphire Preferred with the $50 hotel credit. There are folks who will book a low dollar hotel just to trigger the credit, or book a hotel that is low dollar to trigger the credit and then cancel the booking so that they can recoup that $50 to give themselves that made up effective annual fee. The one with the Bilt card was Bilt requires you to do 5 transactions. Those 5 transactions can be anything you want, including rent. And there are folks who will buy 4 separate bananas, and that will get them their full rent payment, and they don't have to use the card anymore. Those folks, I think, with Bilt in particular, those folks led to Bilt having to restructure a lot of things where they're going after the whales first, and now they're going to come back, because you have to go after the whale to come back and get the scavenger, is what I'm assuming is going on with Bilt. I could be wrong there. But if you're minimizing the credit, you think you're getting one over on the issuer. But the issuer sees that the credits are getting used. They're going to add more credits. They're going to make it harder for you. And eventually you're going to stop being able to keep track of every single credit. Just something I've been thinking about. I could be completely baseless on this, but RJ, do you have any initial thoughts on that?
I don't have the time. I don't have the patience. I don't have the pedantic nature to tailor my life to some credits that somebody with a spreadsheet at Amex or Chase came up with. My God, how boring is your life if all you're doing with your time is figuring out how to get one over on insert credit card company here by using the credits to like as much to the penny as you can. Get a hobby, play the guitar, watch a TV show, find somebody to have a drink with. I don't care, but do something else. Like, look, I understand like the Dunkin' Donuts credit, right? Like I put $7 in my Dunkin' Donuts account. I've done it the last 2 months, triggered the credit. Great. That takes 3 seconds of my day, right? That to me is worth it because it takes 3 seconds of my day. If I don't use the Uber credit because I have to use it as a pickup food because I can't really get delivery, if I don't use it for a month, I sleep just fine, guys. Like, yes, do I like to use the credits because they're there and I have access to them? Yes, I've already paid for them. I'm not somehow getting magic money back. I think Lani and I agree more than anything on the effective annual fee being one of the dumbest sentences in credit card YouTube. But like the money is already gone. Like if I get $10 of Grubhub or DoorDash or Uber Eats or whatever, awesome. If I don't, oh well, I will survive. If $10 makes or breaks me, I should not have a credit card. Like I think that the credit card community is trying to be like so smart that we've become dumber. Like, we have lost IQ points as a community because we're trying to be the smartest kid in class and figure out all of these hacks. And if I buy this gift card at this location doing this on a Tuesday while the sun is shining and I'm hopping on one leg, I'm gonna somehow get 7 points. She's like, guys, if you want to buy the gift card, just walk in, buy the gift card, and like go away. Just go away, people. It's the thing that drives me the craziest, because your time has value. Your enjoyment of life has value. And it feels like the people who do this the most are just sucking so much of their own life and time up that I don't know how you value your time so little. I value my time as at least $30 an hour. Like, I would pay myself $30 an hour for my brain power. That is more than the credits of which I'm trying to concoct. So for the love of God, just go outside, put your hand firmly on some grass, and take a deep breath. I yield the floor.
Tell us how you really feel, RJ.
Can we just take a moment for whoever RJ just ripped apart? Just one quick moment.
That was not pointed to anyone specifically. That was a
I'm sure it
community-wide.
touched a bunch of people though.
No, there's a few. All I'm gonna say before whoever's next, I can already feel the unsub. So we're gonna drop from like 100 to probably somewhere like 93. And I can only imagine the 1 stars we're gonna get from the few people that were butthurt about that. Because there probably is. And to them, I say, hey, there's still other value in it. Sorry, this touched a nerve.
No, John's video on this is performing all right. We're fine. Shout out to John R from John's Credit and Travel. He did a video on this yesterday that is pretty pointed as well. I'll say we'll link to it, but I linked to it definitely in my video on credits that I did today. So check out John's video, and if you haven't subscribed to him, subscribe to him as well. Lani, your thoughts on this?
I don't even know if I can follow RJ on that one, but
yeah, it's really hard.
It's going to be hard, but I'm not going to say I don't disagree with her, because these credits are exactly that. They're small incentives. And so if you're getting a $10 credit or a $5 credit and you're getting exactly that, let's take Dunkin' Donuts out, because I totally agree. You can be on your phone, do your $7 and you get your $7 back. That one's different versus because you don't actually have to go to Dunkin' Donuts and buy anything like the DoorDash. I mean, not the DoorDash, the Uber Eats credit or something like that with the Amex, where you actually have to buy something that costs more than $10. You can just buy the $7 gift, add it to your gift card and stack it up. But the thing is, when you do not use these credits as intended, then you get mad that the company changed the credits. Just like you had said, Matt, like they give us these credits and then it's like, all right, everyone's using it, but they're doing the bare minimum. Let's add more credits. And then you're mad that you get more credits and then you're trying to like minimize those credits and those types of things. And going back to the like Uber Eats aspect, if I wanted a burger, right? But then I don't get a burger. I decided to go to a restaurant that I don't normally go to get exactly $10, sign up for pickup, go out of my way, and go get a hot dog. What's the point of the credit? Like, Matt, in one of your recent videos, I don't know if it was from today or yesterday, you had actually talked about using the credit as a tip. And that's the way that I also look at it. Now, I'm already ordering DoorDash. I'm already ordering Uber Eats. I'm already ordering Grubhub. Like, I order food delivery multiple times a month. Not like every single day, not even once a week, maybe once a week. So let's just say no more than like 4 times a month. Let's just do that. So for me, it's just, okay, this time I'm going to order Uber Eats. The next week, I'm going to order DoorDash. The next week, I'm going to order Grubhub. Make sure, and that I know is going to cover me across the board. But I'm not like doing the bare minimum. I'm getting those credits and using them for something I would already spend anyway, because I'm already going to do it because I don't feel like cooking. Kid might be, on an 11 today. I ain't have time. I got to work, those types of things. So I'm already going to be using it anyway. So I'm not going out of my way to use them. I'm going to use them anyway to help save me some time. And other times I might just want some Chinese food, So boom, there it is. Now, the other part of that statement that you had made in your question, Matt, was the built aspects. And I don't think people understand what they did. They, as the card holders, too, built. So this is directly talking to the 98% majority of the rent plus $4 folks. Built made a business decision. Yes, I'm going back to business decision based on the usage across all of their cards. So the whales, people that were using it and maximizing it, like myself, who are impacted, yes, we're the ones that are affected, and we are feeling a little salty right now. But for everyone else that was never using the rest of this stuff anyway, you paid your rent. You, like Matt said, you bought your 4 independent bananas for $1 each to get your rent credits. And then you sock drawered the card for whatever until the next first of the month. And then they say, all right, we're getting rid of, we're going to do a 90% devaluation on rent day. And you're like, oh man, they killed it. You was never getting it anyway. Going back to my earlier statement, you can't miss nothing you didn't have. You never had it. So don't do that. But the other aspect of it is once again, this is a business. When you sign up and apply for that card, you give them access to look at your credit report. Let's just take a minute here. They know what is on your credit report. They make a financial business decision on it, saying you're going to get $5,000 credit limit, maybe 10,000, maybe 30, whatever, right? And so the fact that they're changing things and people are like, well, why are they going with healthcare and tuition? Because you gave them access to your credit report. They know where you're in debt. And so for all the 98% of those folks, and I guarantee you, it might not be 100% of those 98%, a good majority of them are probably seeing therapists, probably seeing chiropractors or physical therapy, probably still got student loans, maybe still in college. And that's why they're doing it. So the more that you try to get in on the system, I mean, I think I said this last week. The card game is like Vegas, man. The house always wins. They are going to change the business to their best of interests. So I would just recommend use it as it's intended so that you can get what you want out of it versus you just got to, no matter what, at the end of the day, we got to just take what they give us. That's just the way this game is played. We just got to take what they give us. But at least we could have something to say in what they actually give us. I.e., Bill, please create a Forex grocery category.
That's fair. No, you're absolutely right on a lot of that. And I do want to touch on that just because that has been a thing that's bothered me since the news came out about the 90% devaluation. It wasn't the whales that killed it. It was they're killing the whales first so that when they go after the 4 banana crew, they can't turn around and say, well, how did they do this to us? You just slaughtered whales. You just killed whales. So
yeah.
Now they're coming for you.
The remore fish finally ate the shark. Yeah. From a business standpoint, think about it. Keep the ones making you money. It's like rule number 1. And if the rent plus $4 folks are making the majority of the money over the whales, that is, because we are highly outnumbered, because Richard Kerr said it, 98-2. We are highly outnumbered. They're a business. They got to keep their money going. They're going to find a way to get their money out of your pocket. This is what they did. We did it to ourselves.
Yep. Well, the 98% did to the 2%, but
yeah.
And to those who may be watching the 2%, I still think good things are coming. I still think they're going to make it up to you, but it's going to be rough weather for a little while. Tariq, your thoughts on the credit minimizer conundrum?
So I'm gonna go into two parts. First, with like the main credits, with the people trying to do like the minimize, or I guess like the minimizers on the credits. Um, it's definitely been a topic of like, oh, like like the Hilton cards. Like, oh, the Hilton cards suck now because of the increased annual fees and these credits. Like, I'm just gonna just throw it like the Hilton business card, right? Cool. You're paying $195 annual fee card, not even including the status, not even including the points that you're getting or the multipliers. You get a $60 quarterly credit to use at Hilton properties. If you go to like go to a restaurant that's on a Hilton property, cool. You can go do that. You can enjoy that. In some sense, you're prepaying it, and like it's an experience. I know when I stayed at the Hyatt Regency in Chicago, they gave me a $25 dining credit to use at any of their restaurants for the 2 nights. I didn't go and try to get to $25 exactly just so I can offset the credit. I was out with my girlfriend and I was like, hey, we pretty much got a free, like one of us gets a free meal and we get to enjoy an on-property restaurant. I'm cool with that. I didn't really try to nickel and dime and get the maximizing because I still end up paying like what, 50 something dollars between both nights. I was cool with it. So like, if you're gonna get the card and it has the credit, use the card. If you're gonna, let me say it like this: if it has a credit and you're not using the card regularly and you're only trying to get it so you can maximize the credit, are you really getting like, are you really using the card? Like, I get it. There's like the nickel and dime spreadsheets, and just rewind the podcast and listen to RJ's rant about it. But like, it's a little, I don't know, it's just too much effort for me. Now, I'm going to talk about the built card for this, and this is for the 4Banana folk. Now, I don't have the built card yet. Rent spend, I said this, I said it once, I've said it like 100 times. Rent spend is subspend right now. But there will be a time I will get the built card. In light of some of the recent news, especially the 90% devaluation, even though I don't think I was to hit that. But this goes for the 4Banana folk. Is it really that hard to spend money, use the built card? Like, people talk about how it's the Sapphire preferred, but better. Like, yeah, cool. You get the rent day and you get like 2x on the first. Cool. I pay my car insurance monthly. I pay it on the second. I can move it to the first and not pay any extra. When I was going to get the bill card, I would have done that. Cool. 2x on insurance. You get 3x on dining. How many Chase cards get 3x on dining? I have, what, 2? Yeah. I have 2 myself, not to mention both the Sapphires, your flavor of Sapphire, Freedom Flex, Freedom Unlimited, and who knows, maybe the Freedom Rise will somehow get 3x on Chase on dining. You get 3x dining, plus if you get built neighborhood dining, that's extra on top of that. Not even to mention, it's 6x on rent day. Is it that hard to use the card as it's intended? Thank you, 4Banana folks, for ruining it for everybody else because all you wanted to do was maximize on rent. I get it. Everyone has a card that you get just for maximizing the category. But don't be mad or don't be all throwing a fit and throwing a rise when it's minimized for that reason. Like Lani said, it's a business decision. You influence that business decision. And unfortunately, you were the class clown that made it to where the kids don't get recess anymore because we got to stay inside because you wanted to act up and be funny. Thanks. Thank you. And the Colt Lightning McQueen, thank you. Or should I say no thank you? Because in opposite world, that probably means thank you. It's just frustrating. It doesn't make any sense to me because, like, it's supposed to be like, I don't know how many YouTube videos of people saying the built card is like the better version of the Sapphire Preferred. It's a Sapphire Preferred with no annual fee. Are you only using the Sapphire Preferred for one category? Just use the card. Stop trying to break it because you're going to break it and you're going to ruin it for everybody else. Because, like, I still want the bill card. Like, Roger Goodell, Atlanta Falcons, 28-3 jokes aside, God, breaking the card. Like, I want to go back to watching Lani's interview with Richard Kerr and the excitement of talking about the future of Bill, because God help me. I don't care if it's I don't care if it's just 2x or 2.5x. As soon as Bill gets a grocery category, and I can earn built points on my groceries, especially because in February of next year, I'm not going to get 5x on my Freedom Flex anymore. So I want Built to do the good categories. Stop making it to where Built's like, well, they're only going to use it for rent. What's the point? So please, for Banana Fold, just go get a Sapphire, go get a Freedom Unlimited or a Blue Business Plus or whatever your 2x flavor choice is. Stop breaking the Built card. It's not worth it. Go get your 1 4 bananas, whatever. You get the rent. Enjoy it. And use the card for its intended purpose. Thank you. I yield my time. And God, that struck a nerve for me too.
You need to go check to see if Amex has a coupon for therapy after this. I feel like that might be the most appropriate use of an Amex offer right now.
There is like a self-care.
I wish it was a credit
there right now. But so 2 quick things. One, Matt, I didn't know that this was going to be such a hot topic tonight. Like,
neither did I.
I know last week I just said, yeah, don't forget to say spoiler alert, but we need like a little red light or something to pop up on screen before this question. This was hot. And the second thing is, did Tariq really just quote Cars? Great movie, Tariq. Didn't know you had it in you.
That is my best friend's favorite movie. And I thoroughly enjoy that movie as well. So, yes.
It's currently my toddler's favorite movie, too. So I knew exactly where it came from because I watched that movie 6 times a week.
Congratulations, Tariq. You're officially out of the corner.
All 3 of them. I didn't say that. Matt said that.
Okay. There. Tariq, you still got to start a YouTube channel because that rant was YouTube worthy.
It was.
All right.
Cool. Speaking of Tariq and rants and YouTube channels, Tariq, you're up with the last topic of the night.
All right, so this is for anyone that is still listening, and that hasn't clicked away because they're pissed off at me or RJ for the most part, because I know we kind of ripped in on them, but it is what it is.
What did y'all do?
You know what? We just had thoughtful opinions. That's all. So this was actually when I was watching last week's episode when it came out, and it was for the one comment that I saw. It was actually, I think it was M2K. He asked about booking United domestic flights with Airplane. So it had me thinking, and I was thinking about some of the other YouTube videos that I've seen talking about like transfer partners, like Capital One transfer partners, where they don't have a domestic airline partner, but they're like, oh, you can book United flights with Turkish Airlines miles and smiles or Airplane points. You can book American Airlines flights with Avios. I was really curious about that. And so like, I was like with booking domestic flights with airline alliance partners, I was trying to figure out, is the juice worth the squeeze? So I did 2 small test bookings because we could go into a lot of detail, and I didn't want to spend like another like hour plus just going through all the different possibilities. Plus, I didn't feel like signing up for like some of the other partner airlines because I don't think I'm going to use them. So I did 2, and I tried to keep it kind of similar. I did one for United, one for American. And I did for both of them, it was a Texas hub going to DC, United to Dulles, American to Reagan National. So I'm going to just list out what I found just on these bookings. These are ones that I booked from like a Friday to a Monday. It was August 23rd through the 26th. So for United, I did Houston Intercontinental to Washington Dulles. From my findings, I found it was a obviously nonstop flight, United Hub to United Hub. It was 30,000 miles and $11.20 for fees. Basic, standard, cut and dry, typical United. With Aeroplan, it was a little interesting. So, first off, the bookings that I found, it was round trip 20,000 Aeroplan points, but the fees were $55 Canadian, which was about 40 US dollars. Another thing that I found that was interesting on it was they didn't have the dates that I wanted. I had to book it from like it was a Saturday to Tuesday in order to be consistent. So already there it was a hit on flexibility. And another thing that I found really interesting was the departing flight did not have a nonstop from Houston to Dulles. There was a connection through, it was 3 different connections layovers. It was either an hour 23 layover in Atlanta, an hour 45-minute layover in Nashville, or an hour 39-minute layover in Indianapolis. Found that kind of weird. And of course, fortunately, the return flight was nonstop. And for the American one, I did Alaska mileage plan to book Alaska miles for the Built members who actually want to book American flights and use the card properly. Plus, there's not really any good ways to book American Airlines flights unless you're going to get American Airlines cards or some of the other Simply Miles, other ways to earn American miles. So with that, I did DFW to DCA, Dallas Fort Worth to Reagan National, and it was for the same time frame. With American, the baseline was 23,000 miles and $11.20 round trip, both nonstops. So with Alaska, I found it kind of interesting was it was 15,000 miles round trip for the same flight, same dates, same times, but the fees were $36.20. Now, the thing that I found the most interesting was Alaska had an option to upgrade the departing flight to first class for an extra 7,500 miles. So if you were to upgrade your departing flight to first class on this specific booking, 22,500 miles plus the same $36.20. Now, with that, I want to know all your opinions. Obviously, in my eyes, with Air Canada and United on this booking, and with all the ways you can earn United mileage with our favorite apps that Lani has graciously showed me, and then I won't shut up about in every podcast.
You're welcome.
I'm going to stick with United. But the American one was pretty interesting, especially for the people that were griping that Built lost American to and got Alaska in its place. So I guess I'm going to start with the roundtable, and I want to go with Matt first. I want to see what you think. Want to get your thoughts on if it's worth putting in the effort trying to do the partner airlines to book domestic flights.
So there's a couple different ways to think about this. One, it's going to depend on where you're willing to travel out of. I can pick 3 major airports that I live relatively close to. I have 2 smaller regional airports that also I can look at for smaller airlines, Breeze or primarily Breeze, but like Allegiant is out of Stewart, and Delta can fly out of White Plains if I so choose to go that route. So first is going to be where I'm starting from. If I'm willing to start at a major airport and a hub, if I'm not booking directly with that airline, but I want to go through a partner, using SkyTeam, I know that Virgin and Air France, it's going to cost me, either 10,000 miles. It's going to cost me 10,000 miles plus then whatever the fuel charge is. I don't have a way to get Delta points without purchasing Delta points. Unless I want to buy Delta points, my best bet for booking Delta is going to be using a SkyTeam Alliance partner. I also don't have American Express cards that transfer out to Delta. I don't have any ways to get Delta aside from applying for a Delta card. So for me, it would be I'll have to use Virgin or I'd have to use Air France. Now, I haven't flown Virgin before. That could be a pitfall for me as well. So now I'm looking at Air France, and I have to ask myself if the fuel charge is worth, what I'm paying in points for whatever class I'm flying out of. So if I'm using Comfort Plus and it's going to cost me, say, 15,000 points one way, is that worth it to me? Potentially. So if I want to fly Delta and I want to use points to do Delta, I have to go the airline partner route. Now, I do have one domestic transfer option that is United, and I do have another option with American Airlines where I could go through Avios, or I could go through. I feel like there's at least one other One World partner I could transfer points to, but let's use Alaska just because I suddenly found myself with 1 million bill points that I can play with, and I'm not going to buy a house. I could go through Alaska Air. So the point numbers might be a little bit different, but I know I can get the booking that I want. And then it's a question of, is the fuel charge and the surcharge and the 9/11 tax, is that worth paying altogether? That'll be higher on this partner airline as opposed to booking direct. For me, if I'm dead set on flying American, probably. If I'm dead set on flying United and I'm willing to jump through those hoops, it's a time money value for me. If I'm willing to put in that work to get like the best possible redemption, yeah, it could be worth it to me. If I'm just trying to get something over with really easily and I'm not trying to fly across the country and I'm willing to stick with JetBlue, I'm going to transfer points, or I'm going to book with JetBlue. I'm going to save 10% of my points, and I'm going to pay cash to upgrade and just be happy. So it's a question of where are you starting, where are you willing to start from, and do you know all of the little silly rules that partners could have. And you also have to contend with some domestic carriers are really cutting back on the availability that they're giving their alliance partners to book with them. Like United has been cutting a lot of availability to Turkish and Avianca and Aeroplan so that United members can book those seats more readily. Whereas American, you can get those Avio seats pretty consistently. So it's going to depend on the airline. It's going to depend on how you want to travel. It's going to depend on what you're willing to pay in terms of the back end with the fuel charges. Because if you book direct with the airline, you're most likely going to pay $11.20 round trip. If you're booking through British Airways, and you better hope you're not flying to Britain, you're still going to pay some pretty high fuel charges. So it's all a question of what you're willing to put up with.
Yeah, I've definitely seen an increase of United Savor Award fares when just looking at bookings. And I think that them taking it away from like Turkish and Avianca and all the other partners is kind of playing into effect of that. So speaking of United, I'm going to go to Lani because I kind of have a feeling of what he says because he has more United miles than built minimizers have bananas. But I just want to know your take.
Yeah, so the first thing I'm going to say is team, take the trip. You know how I feel. Whatever it takes, if you need that break, you need that vacation, you just want to be able to take that trip, take the trip. However, you need to get there, even if it's paying cash. I would still support that. If you got to save up for 2 or 3 years to in cash to buy the flights and the hotels and whatever, it's still worth it to take that trip, the experience over money. Now, I will say, and I'm pretty sure that you know where I'm going with this, that is, if it works for you, it works for you. Now, I'm not going to say it's wrong. I'm not going to condone it. I'm not going to say it's bad or that you shouldn't do it. But as Matt had kind of like just listed off, like with Turkish Airlines and United, like with Turkish, you could get some of the same United flights for, I think it was like 7,500 miles and smiles to book a United flight on average. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower, depending on, situations where you're traveling to, where you're coming from, it's in time of year, of course. Now, if you didn't have the United miles to book with United, and that was a way to take the trip, to do the backdoor booking in this manner, then the juice is worth the squeeze. It is. But would I recommend that as a plan A? Like if you had other options, would I recommend it? The answer there would be no. And the reason why is very similar to as Matt just finished his last answer is when you do these backdoor bookings and you're put as secondary, you're also going to be treated as secondary. It's like if you and I can book the exact same flight, I can book directly with United and you can book through Priceline. You're not going to get the same experience. Take status and all, tenure out of it. Let's just say we're two people on, same playing field. I book directly with United and you book through a third party like Cheapo Air or something like that. We're not going to have the exact same experience. If there was a trip delay, a travel disruption that day, United's going to want to take care of me first because I put more money in their pocket because I went through them directly. Simply off of that. And even the backdoor bookings still can work that way. So yes, I have a lot of United miles. Now it's pointless for me to transfer. One, I really can't transfer United miles out, but let's just say it's pointless for me to let's just say my Chase or my Bilt points, transfer those to Turkish and then go book on United. I'm not going to get the same status the same way as if I just booked directly with United, either directly through Chase, which is technically cash in United systems, or directly with miles or cash directly on United's website. So because of that, if you can do it the best way possible, the way that they intended, especially coming off that last hot topic, if you could do it the way it's intended, I recommend do it the way it's intended. But if you don't have the currency, the travel rewards currency, the financial currency, and you can find another way to finagle in, which is why Pricelines and Expedias and Cheapo Airs exist, then yes, do it that way. But whatever way to take the trip, take the trip. And the reason why I say that is one, because you're right. I don't have to do it. So I'm not going to say I do a lot of backdoor bookings or anything like that, or that I've never done it before. But I don't need to, because yes, I'm sitting on so many United miles that I got to burn them. So I might as well just first party website, united.com, just get them out of the way, just burn those suckers. But going back to the very, very first answer, RJ's question of the night, do not ruin my travel day. And a backdoor booking could ruin that travel day. Even if it's not United, let's just get out of Star Alliance, period. Let's just go somewhere else. Let's do Delta or American or Allegiant or Alaska, anyone. Let's get out of the Star United and Star Alliance bubble for a second. The second I get to the airport, I have to check a bag. I got to stand in the general admission line. You know, no one's coming to take my bags from me from, you know, like the nice little comfy room behind the opaque glass where they got champagne that I don't drink and couches. No, my travel day's already ruined the second I get to the airport. And I want to avoid that as much as possible because my travel day is what I prioritize. Now, granted, other people prioritize different parts of vacations or their travel than I do, but my travel day is high priority for me because I need to be comfortable from where I'm going, from where I'm at to where I'm going. And then I also want to be, especially coming home, I don't want to come home hurting or tired or cranky or knots in my back because I had to sit middle seat, last row next to the bathrooms either, which is usually what happens when you book on Priceline and Expedia and Cheapo Air. I've been there, so I can speak on it. I've been there, and because I've been there, I don't want to go there again. So I picked my partner and I built my strategy the way that I did. But I won't say backdoor bookings are bad, but if you can avoid it and do it the proper way as intended with the airlines, I recommend it because you'll have a better experience with that airline, and it will add up. That when you do those backdoor bookings, it doesn't help you with status. It doesn't help you with, you know, you're not going to get extra miles or whatever when you fly, or perks or benefits and things like that. Which is, of course, is why a lot of people will get a credit card with lounge access, where I could like go stay at a lot. I can go to like, I don't have Capital One, as we all know, but like I can go to a Capital One lounge, even though I'm not, you know, no matter what airline I'm flying on. But then it just goes back to, it's what we all resonated earlier, going out of your way, like the $10 credit. I've said this a million times. If I'm in Terminal 1, there is no effing way I'm walking to Terminal 3 for a cookie and a sad salad bar. I'm just not doing it. I'm just not doing it. Where if you fly enough, you build up a reputation with the airline. And it doesn't mean you have to fly a lot. You don't have to fly once a month or anything like that. You can just fly once a year. You're still going to build up that reputation and that loyalty with the airline. They're going to see it. They're going to reward you for it because they know you can fly with anyone else and you keep coming back to them. Where you might get it into United Club and they might not charge you for it. They might not. You might go ahead and, you know, if you're going to go ahead and splurge all your points anyway, and you're going to get first class, you're going to get all first and business class usually get to lounge access for free anyway, which trumps my platinum and your Capital One and your Sapphire Reserve lounges and all that other stuff, because I know exactly what lounge is next to my gate every time I'm at the airport. Every single time, unless I'm in an international airport, of course. Then it comes in handy. But domestically, because I know your question was based around domestic, I'm good. So I'm not going to say it's wrong. I'm just going to say do it as intended, but more importantly, find a way to take the trip. If that's the best way to do it, then I'm okay with it. But if you could do it better, trust me, do it better. It's going to have more rewards for you long term.
Man, I swear, every time we talk, Lani, I want to sign up for United, even though I already am a Mileage Plus member. And that's the reason why I'm going to be getting the club card sometime soon. Not going to say when, but eventually, because I'd like to know where my lounge is in relation to my gate. RJ, since we can try to pivot away from the United and Star Alliance and go to SkyTeam, you being the Delta Queen, what are your thoughts on it, especially coming from a non-hub airport?
So I checked every KLM and Flying Blue, or every KLM and Air France date between tomorrow and the 31st of December. Does anybody want to guess how many flights to Atlanta from my home airport, which is in upstate New York, I found? And Matt is correct. 0.
I was going to guess 1.
0. None.
Hey.
I was going to say -1.
It took me 45 minutes to go through all of these, by the way. None. I can't do it. I have to go down to the city.
They took points from you just for looking.
Literally.
You had the nerve.
I have to go.
Cool. How far are you going to go?
Yeah, I'd have to go to the city. The only time to me this would be useful is if I was flying internationally, potentially. And then I would probably just book with the other airline anyway. So I think I think this is something where you need to be careful because I bought into the idea when I got my Capital One Ventrex that I could do this, right? And then I very quickly learned, no, I can't. And that's completely my fault. I own the fact that I did some research, but not enough research, right? But that is something that you need to figure out of, can you do a thing? Yes. Can you do a thing easily enough where you'll actually do the thing? That's the question. Because humans might do a hard thing once, but if we have the option of doing the easy thing, by the second or third or fourth time, we're probably just going to do the easy thing, even if it costs more, unless we have a very specific budget or other constraints that force us in that direction. So for me, it's just not an option because I'm not paying to go 3.5 to 4 hours down to the city to go to LaGuardia unless I'm flying through there on my connection and I'm gonna get a Delta flight anyway, so I might as well just get the flight to my destination. Like I've checked prices. It is expensive to fly from my home airport through LGA to my destination as it is to get the positioning flight and then try to do point. It just no. I also get 15% off of rewards flights because I have a Delta card. So for me, it's just super not worth it. Maybe if I was flying United, but United is more expensive out of my home airport. So I'm not sure that the points would matter even if I could transfer them that way. And also a thing to note, which I ran into with Virgin, if you haven't flown the partner you're trying to get through, sometimes they won't let you transfer points. You'd have to book a Virgin flight before you could transfer the points the way you want. And then you can maybe transfer points in 60 days if we've decided that that flight that you took, you actually took and didn't just book a ticket. So there are a lot of those, and that was not on the website, by the way. So there are a lot of those eccentricities that you need to really understand if you're going to do this. I'm not saying don't do it if it works for you. I'm saying very much understand what you're about to commit, because if you transfer 75,000 points, you might not be able to get those back. So definitely understand what you're going to do. Also, I've decided that the title of this episode is going to be a cookie and a sad salad bar because I am the person that makes that final decision. And I need to go back and see how many quotes from each of you I have taken titles from because I think Lani is one.
I am like 9 out of 10. I am like 90% of my quotes end up as titles.
So Matt and Tariq, you need to step your game up is what I'm hearing.
Hey,
And
I
I'm
think
not
I
mad.
got the first episode.
I gave you Stop Killing the Whales, but okay.
Or 4 bananas.
He mentioned a cookie.
How about if we're gonna keep it all a fruit, 4 bananas, a cookie, and a sad salad bar.
Look, we've all been to lounges. We've all seen the salad bar. It's always sad.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna move over to a new segment. We like the idea of the Back to Basics show that we did last week, so we're going to try and implement a segment called Back to the Basics of the Week. This week's Back to Basics is 0% APR. Do you look for cards with it, or is it just a nice treat? Now, just to highlight 0% APR. There are cards, typically cards that don't charge an annual fee, that will give you an introductory period of 12, 15, 18. Some balance transfer cards go out as far as 21 months, where you don't pay interest on the card for either moving a balance over to the card or for your purchases. A number of cards that I've gotten all started off as 0% annual fee for 0% interest for the first year. I currently have it on the Chase Sapphire. No, not the Chase Sapphire, anything. I currently have it on the Wells Fargo Signify Cash. When I got the Active Cash, it had it. The Autograph from Wells Fargo had it. The Tune currently has it. Moving outside of Wells Fargo, the Chase Ink Cash, the Chase Ink Unlimited, both are business cards that come with 0% for the first year. Chase Freedom Unlimited, Chase Freedom Flex. The Capital One Quicksilver, the Capital One Savor one, all come with 0% APR. So is this something you look for in a card, or is it just a nice treat? For me, I would say it's just a nice treat. I'm looking at some higher end cards at this point, but that ability to get that 0% APR, sometimes really nice. RJ, your thoughts on 0% APRs?
I usually try to have one that at least has 3 months, and that's more just a nice safety net than something that I'm actually like hunting necessarily, but I do tend to usually have something I can throw a larger charge on that I have a little bit of breathing room on. I also have the Apple card, which is 0% APR for either 12 or 24 months for different Apple things. So that is a feature of that particular card that I use every year. So it is something that sometimes the Apple card is sort of an aberration, but there are other cards that you can trigger it at certain points and at certain times that you can find that sometimes can be really helpful. So is it something that I search out? Not necessarily with the cards I'm looking at, sort of like Matt, I'm looking at the higher end cards tend not to have it, but it is something that I do usually have one that has at least a couple of months, which is nice breathing room.
Yeah, it's great to go out and look for one of those cards if you have a significant purchase coming up. Like if you are looking at paying for a new roof, maybe you don't have the $6,000 easily available in your checking account, but you can space out the $6,000 over 12 or 15 months, or start with one card and then get another balance transfer card down the road. Lani, your thoughts on 0% APR cards?
Short answer, I'm going to call it a nice treat. I'm speaking for myself, but I know I have a couple of cards that have it, but I don't know which cards have it. And the reason why I say that is because I make sure, I don't carry a balance. I pay all my cards off at their statement or whatnot. I keep them at zero, keep them low or whatever. So I never pay interest anyway. Well, not even, I know that it's not about interest, but it's about not allowing the payment to get to a point where you could get charged for the interest to be charged. So just because of that, that's why I say I don't know which cards have it or if it's still active on whatever cards, but it's a nice treat. Now, I will also go back and say, so I don't actively, when looking at cards, actively look for that type of offer, saying like, oh man, this is 0% APR. This is just in case, if life happens or even a little bit of life happens, it would be good to have. And that's why I say it's a nice treat. It would be, but just right now for me, I haven't had that particular situation happen, so I haven't need to rely on it, and thus it's just a treat. But I'm not actively like looking for it. I won't like turn down a card if it doesn't have it. If I was in the market for a new card, that is.
And Tariq?
Yeah, I'm definitely on team nice treat. I think currently I have two cards that are in a current 0% APR offer, that being my Freedom Flex and my Ink Unlimited. I've had plenty of cards that have had it. And even when I was dumb and got into debt, it actually worked out well because I was carrying a balance, wasn't paying interest on it. So, Tariq from 2, 3, 4 years ago definitely benefited from that because, sometimes it will eventually happen. So it's sometimes not even a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But credit one will hit the fan. And when it does hit the fan, it's nice to have it sometimes. Yeah, I'm not looking out for it, but it's like I'm looking at the bonus and I'm like, oh, cool, 0% APR. Okay, cool. But yeah, it's not a deal breaker for me.
Yeah, if it's a nice treat, one of the, I guess, like ice cream sundaes to this would be there are times where the Discover cards will do promotional 0% APRs for cardholders. Whether or not you're inside that first 12 months, there are times where Discover will give you 12 months of 0% APR. Useful if you get targeted with that from time to time. And for whatever reason, Capital One is so desperate for me to use their cards that they offer me 0% balance transfers from time to time. So just be on the lookout for the cards that you have. Some of them may offer you 0% opportunities outside of that introductory 12, 15, 18 months. And we could talk about balance transfer cards another day. Those are pretty fun. So we'll move over to viewer questions, and we do have a viewer question. If you want to leave us questions, always leave them in the comments on the YouTube video. You can send them to stackyourpoints@gmail.com. We'd be glad to answer your questions. And we actually got one today from Trisha from Arkansas. And Trisha asks, what is your favorite card right now for each of you and why? What features or benefits does it have that make it work well? What are the categories? So my favorite card right now, it's silly for me to say it's probably the Wells Fargo Attune, just because I'm still learning what the 4% categories on this card are, and the fact that I get 4% on Amazon purchases, all Amazon purchases. I'm looking to see if I can extend that to Whole Foods, just as another way to sneak a little bit more value out of the card. Benefits, it gets 4% on self-care and self-care categories. This would be spas, massage parlors, things like that. Bookstores for sports, recreation, and entertainment. The living better type category would be 4% on electric vehicle charging, 4% on public transportation, 4% on ride. It says 4% on ride shares. There's been some issues there, but I think it stems from the fact that nobody knows how to properly read the Wells Fargo Attune rewards, because Wells Fargo is stupid with the way that they show them. So the feature is 4% back on a broad number of categories. Benefits, it's a World Elite MasterCard. If I wanted to use World Elite MasterCard benefits on that card, it would be great. But there's other cards that I have that are more travel focused to use those benefits. Yeah, so that card is currently my favorite, but it is not my everyday heavy use card.
I can only pick one. That's hard. It really is. It really
United
is. Go ahead.
Explorer.
Actually, no. That wouldn't. It's probably in the. It's not number one or number two, to be completely honest. I would have to go with, and I'm not going to say it as my favorite. I'm going to go through the perspective of if I had to get rid of all my cards but one. So it will be my Sapphire Reserve card. It's dusty and trusty. It's a workhorse. Like, I could continue my setup, my plan A lifestyle, my plan A strategy, and my spending lifestyle with just that one card, which is something I can't do with all the other ones. Now, Tariq jumped the gun and probably thought, and a lot of you probably thought I was going to say my United Explorer card, but because of my United status, I don't really need to use my United Explorer card to spend. I'm going to get trumped experiences from having platinum or 1K status, depending on, what time of year or what year it is. Anyway, so I could actually go without my United Explorer card and still keep all the benefits that I get from my United Explorer card, that is. So that's why it's not up there, Tariq. So yeah, I'm going to go with the old faithful CSR for me.
It was more of a joke. I knew it wasn't going to be the United Explorer, but, just kind of going with the whole United spiel thing.
First and last
surprised
forever.
it's not a Capital One card.
Never a Capital One.
I think I just gave RJ another option to throw in the hat for the title. Is this one gonna possibly dusty and trusty?
That's honestly not a bad one. My favorite card right now is a card that gets a bad rap, and I truly do not understand the bad rap that it gets, and that's the Amex Green card. I don't understand why people don't like it. It doesn't have a bunch of credits, which people say they hate. You get 3x on travel, 3x on transit, and 3x on dining. Those are major categories. I think Amex points are super useful. I use it a lot because I do not like to book through portals because, as we talked about before, if you book directly with your hotel or your airline, there are certain benefits if something goes wrong. There's certain benefits on how sometimes you can get treated. So I book directly. That means that if I want for hotels, because I don't have a Marriott or Hilton card right now, if I want the most points I can get, I'm going to book with my green card. I do flights on my platinum, but you know, I can take a 2-point haircut if needed, if we're going with Lani's version of only one card. So yeah, I think the green card is an excellent card. It's not that hard to get your value back in. It's a very thin card and the plastic kind of sucks, but if that's the worst thing I can say about a card, I think it's okay.
It is the One American Express charge card I would definitely go after. My only reason for not going after it is I have a card that does virtually all of that at $0 annual fee.
You're just not rich enough for Amex, Matt. We've talked about this.
That too. That too. I am a poor, and Amex don't want me. Tariq, will close out with you on this question.
One, I was gonna say, RJ, I like that how you didn't mention the 2 credits that come on the MX green card, because I guess no one minimizes those ones. But so my favorite card, and granted, it does help because I got a really good year 1 offer on it. And it's for those mostly RJ and Matt who hate this card for the main draw behind it. That being the Chase Freedom Flex. For those that don't know, people refer to me as Flex Games because I went on Joe Barreto's live and probably talked about the Freedom Flex more than anyone has ever talked about that card in his entire life. So much so it inspired Lani to do a video on it. So with that, I got the 5x gas and grocery offer on top of the 20,000 point sign-up bonus. So it has been like a workhorse whenever I'm just going to go fill up, going to HEB. The categories this year have been ones that I've been able to use well, especially Q2. I actually maxed out my Q2 category because of the stack on top of the restaurants. So typically you just get 3x on restaurants on top of the 3x on drugstores. But with Q2, you got the additional 5x, and the way Chase does bonus categories, you get the 1 base point, the 2 bonus points for having the card, and then the additional 4 bonus points for the category. So I got 7x on dining, which was really, really nice. On top of Q1 with the 5x, I got 9x grocery, and I'm currently getting 5x on gas stations right now. To date, if we're not including the sign-up bonus, I have earned in, 6 months since I've had the card, 46,000 UR points. And it would have been more if the Sapphire Preferred had a non-dining category that gave me like the extra 0.1x, which I'd have more points in the Freedom Flex. So I've been getting a lot, not to mention it is a World Elite MasterCard. So I use it for the lift benefits, but for those that don't know and haven't watched Anthony Venture or Calvi's videos on it, there's a lot of hidden benefits that aren't talked about with the World Elite MasterCard that you can get on the Freedom Flex, but mostly because MasterCard hands out World Elite cards like they're candy. Like pretty much any main issue of MasterCard is a World Elite. So I say all that to say, there's a reason why I'm called Flex Games. I like this card. And I'll be curious if that's going to be my favorite card come April of 2025, when my grocery category and the gas category is done. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
You know what is a great grocery card, Tariq?
I don't want to hear it. I'm handcuffed to Chase by choice. Next.
A weird way to phrase it. Also, I think the Hilton Honors card was going to be mentioned as a great grocery card. Because it is. Anyway, so that is going to do it for this week's episode. If you like what we do, check out, definitely hit the like and subscribe button. Uh, hit us, give us those 5 stars if you think we are 5-star worthy on the podcatcher of your choice. Thank you for 100 subscribers. RJ, if folks want to find you on the internet, where can they find you?
You can find me at Do You Take Cards on YouTube and in our brand new Stack Your Points Discord.
Hopefully the strike will end soon. Lani, where can we find you?
You can find me trolling Matt in his comment section in his videos. But outside of that, you can find me on my YouTube channel, which is Call Me Lani, all one word, Lani spelled Lani. I would love to see you over there. Drop me a comment. And you know what, Matt? You haven't trolled me yet. And I appreciate that.
Working on it. Working on it.
Yeah, is doing a lot of lifting in that sentence.
Yes, it is. As for me, you can always find me at the Matt Clausen YouTube channel. It's just my name as one word, MattClausen. You can find me now at the new Stack Your Points Discord, which will put the description in. Which will put the link in the description. I'm also on the Venture Capital Discord as well. Just trying something new for the podcast as a way to get some ideas from folks, engage with the growing community we have here. But we will definitely still be in the Venture Capital Discord as well. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching, everyone. We'll see you next week with another episode of Stack Your Points.